Hi, everybody. Welcome to Busy Living Sober. Busy Living Sober. Busy Living Sober. It's episode 175. 175 episodes today with Karen. How are you, Karen?
I am doing well. I am doing well. It's a good day.
It is a good day. Any day we wake up and we're not like hungover is a good day, isn't it?
You ain't kidding. Ugh.
So will you tell us what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now?
Yes. So I will try to sum up 42 years of craziness and goodness all in a little bit of time. So my name is Karen. I am a woman in recovery. I was born and raised here in Florida. I've lived here all my life. I came from a really good family. Like, parents were workers. My dad retired from the phone company, Vietnam vet. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. We went on vacations and all that good stuff. But I knew, for me, looking back in hindsight now, there was a lot. I struggled with weight. I struggled with obesity. So growing up and during my childhood, I was always picked on. You're ugly, you're fat, you're not good enough. So I didn't have a lot of positive reinforcement growing up. And I think that you know that's a very critical time of our development. So growing up with that, I think, kind of stemmed into some of my behaviors later on in life: the low self-esteem, low self-worth, things that I use drugs and alcohol to cover. So anyways, life was pretty good. I mean, I was a happy kid. um, can you hear that? The email? Okay. All right. So I guess around the time I was about 14 years old, 13, 14 years old, I went to a party with my girlfriend, who was a full Christian, went to church every Sunday, and there were some older people there, and we ended up drinking alcohol. And I can remember that next morning, us kind of coming to, and her saying, "I don't want to ever do that again. That's horrible. That feels horrible." And I was like, "Oh my God, I cannot wait to do that again." People were laughing at me, and I was talking to people, and I felt comfortable. So that kind of, I remember that very pivotal moment as being the first moment of, oh my God, I like this. What I failed to realize then was the downward spiral that would take me on in my life. So for 10 years, I continued. It was a big party for me, and then it started with the alcohol, and then it was the party drugs and the street drugs and the doctor shopping with opioids. And in looking back in hindsight, I could see where the consequences started and how they got greater as I got older. First it was my parents would take my car away, or I was skipping school and I got caught. And then as I progressed in my age, it became more consequences, like I lost a really good job. I had one DUI, I had two DUIs, I had three DUIs. I was walking the streets homeless in Tampa Bay with one flip-flop on. I had a child in my addiction. I lost him twice to the Department of Children and Families before he was even 2 years old, because I was an unfit mother. So there was always consequences. And they say the disease of addiction is progressive, permanent, predictable, and if left untreated will result in premature death. And that's really where I was headed towards the end of it. I had been to jail. I had been to a bad 10 years of my life. I was in and out of treatment centers and halfway houses and being Baker acted and Marchman acted. I was just I lost my soul along the way. And I was very injurious. I can remember coming to one time, and my jaw was like this, and there was blood coming out of my ear, and I had broke my jaw in 3 places and had to have my mouth wired shut for 7 weeks. I would come to and be in these weird places, and Lord knows what some of those times where I was in a blackout, what happened. So yeah, I mean, it progressively got worse, and I'm blessed and grateful to be here. And it got to a point in my life where I threw the towel in, and I hit my knees, and I prayed really, really hard from the hardest of my hearts and said, God, I don't want to live like this anymore. I don't care if you put me in prison for the rest of my life. I don't care what it looks like. I just don't want to do this anymore. I had this one thing I ever did perfect in my life was have this beautiful little boy. And I was about to let the disease of addiction take that from me too. I had lost a husband. I had lost my family, didn't want anything to do with me. I had lost my job. There was nothing valuable left in me, but I had this little mustard seed of that everyone, all of us human beings have. We just got to search deep enough for it. And I had that one little mustard seed of hope and faith that, God, I've seen so many people die, but I've also seen so many people turn their lives around. There's got to be something to this. If other people can do it, I can do it too. And it didn't happen overnight. I last time I went to treatment, it was 6 months of residential at a very slice of humble pie treatment facility that was state funded, but it didn't matter what the facility was like. It mattered my level of willingness to because I had gone to 12-step meetings for over a decade, and I could read that book and I could read that literature and I could tell you what it all meant intellectually, but I wasn't applying it in my heart and in my life and in my actions. So the last time I went to treatment, I kind of just, a lot of behavioral changes. Someone had said to me before, my relapse starts when I throw that gum wrapper out the window. Just the little things. At 37 years old, I had to unlearn so many behaviors that I had learned for over 2 decades on how to manipulate and get the things that I wanted and plot and scheme and all that stuff, and unlearn those behaviors or use those skill sets in a positive fashion. Really, I remember someone saying, God, Karen, you're so smart. Like, the things you go through to get what you want, if you could just use those skill sets in a positive manner, you will be so successful and so powerful. And I've used a lot of those tools and skill sets in a positive fashion, and my life today is amazing. I've been reunified fully with my son. I have him back, my little Owen. I just got finished homeschooling him, which was like, oh, how do teachers do that? I have my family back in my life. My mom and my dad are so proud of me. I have a great career in the field of substance use and mental health. I get to meet with hospitals and individuals and people and just talk about treatment and helping people find their way and planting seeds along the journey like so many people did for me. I just bought a 110-year-old farmhouse here in Tampa, which is so neat. I have vehicles today. I have my stuff back, I used to use stuff to fill my void because I was real good. I was very resilient. I could pop back and get that job and get those cars and get all that stuff back, and it looked really pretty on the outside, but I was dying on the inside. So when I went to treatment the last time, I remember I sold my car. I got rid of everything. I boxed up like 2 or 3 storage bins of just personal things, and I was a clean slate. I didn't have anything, and I just said, let's do this. Let's start over. And so I say those things because it's nice. Yes, I just bought a 110-year-old farmhouse, and I have clothes in my closet and lots of purses and stuff, but that stuff could be gone tomorrow. What's most important is what I have inside of me, my relationship with God, my relationship with my family, my son back in my life. I finally have a good man in my life, because I remember in my addiction, like attracts like. I dealt with the same man, different faces, abusive, just not healthy relationships. So this time around, I worked on Karen, and I said, you know what, if I'm single the rest of my life, so be it. Maybe my plan here is to be a good mom and help other people. And then as soon as I let go of that and started working on myself, about a year ago, God placed a really good man in my life. We complement each other. So I'm learning about having a healthy relationship with a man finally. So it's really good. I have a lot of hobbies that have that I lost along the way. I used to love going to thrift stores and garage sales, and I would take stuff for, I find this pen for 50 cents and I'd sell it on eBay for $200. So, all of that stuff's coming back to me and those hobbies. And I garden now, and just, I live a full life today. I have a great network of people, and it's just, sometimes I look in the mirror and I think about that girl that I used to be. And I know I'm not too far removed from her, but it's just such night and day. The psych change, or whatever that term is, the psychic change that we have, it's true. It works. It really works.
Okay, for one, thank you so much for being so brave and telling us all of that.
Yes.
And the one thing that I love that I also got sober at 37. It's kind of ironic.
Oh,
Like crazy. We both got sober at 37. And when you went, so that last treatment center that you went to, it wasn't one of the ones that's like flashy and you show up and it's like, they've got 900 thread count sheets and it's beautiful and all that.
no.
But prior to that, you had been in other treatment centers, and how did you not give up hope that this, the whole treatment world doesn't work? Because so many people are like, for one, I've already been there. I've been to 13. I mean, how many people? I've met so many people, and people that have guests that I've had on that went to 13 different treatment centers. And then they were like, oh my gosh, I could teach treatment. You mentioned in this as well, is that you could regurgitate what was in this big, Alcoholics Anonymous book, and whatever it is, you could regurgitate it. And you were like, but what made you, I love when you said you got that sense of like, help me, God. How do you explain that to someone that's out there and they're like, I just can't, I don't know how I'm going to stop. I just don't know how I'm going to stop. I just don't know how I'm going to stop.
Gosh, if I could bottle that up, I'd be a millionaire. And it's just, it's something that you as an individual, I as an individual had to experience. Yes, I was going, for over a decade, I was in and out of these treatment centers. It got to a point where the clients, when I was a client, the new clients would come in and say, are you a therapist? I'm like, no, I'm here for treatment. Because I got so accustomed to all the case planning and the groups and the different types of behavioral, therapies and stuff. And I think that's important, because those treatment facilities and those people and those case managers and behavioral health techs along my journey, they planted little seeds. Looking back now, I remember that lady Kim at ABC treatment facility told me that the truth would set me free and I would live a life beyond my wildest dreams. But it didn't register to me. That was 15 years ago, but now I get it. So I think it's important for people to go into treatment, because even though treatment might not work the first time, it's feeding your soul and feeding your brain good information, things that you need to hear. And maybe had I not gone to ABC treatment for that 5 or 6 weeks of my life, I wouldn't be here right now. Maybe I would have been out on the streets doing something and got hit by a car or overdosed during that time. So treatment is a good thing. Treatment it educates us on the disease of addiction. Before I went to treatment the first time, I had no idea what alcoholism was. I remember seeing this AA clubhouse growing up where I lived, and I thought it was an Elks Lodge. I didn't know what it was. But as far as the question at hand, where you asked, what was that moment? Everybody's bottom is different. I think it's just a personal bottom. Some people would think my bottom was my first DUI, my second DUI, or maybe my third DUI, or maybe it was losing my husband, or maybe it was walking the streets homeless with one flip-flop on, trying to figure out I was going to run into that liquor store and get that bottle and get back to wherever it was I was, park bench, whatever. Those are things that I think the earthlings would be like, oh my God, that is horrible. That's a, animalistic way to live. Well, yeah, it was, but those weren't my bottoms. My bottoms kind of accumulated over time to where I just got to a point. I think the catalyst for me was Owen, my son, where it was like, I've made a mess of my life and I don't want to live, but I didn't have the kahunas to take my own life. So I reached out to the man above and I said, take me. If you take me, take me, like kill me, put me in prison. I don't care what it is. Just do something with me, because this right here is really uncomfortable and I can't stand to live and breathe on this earth anymore. So there's that moment of just, I don't know, it's all kinds of feelings, disgust and fear and worry and just anger and resentment and shame and guilt that just bottled up inside of me. And eventually I just got to a point where it was like, I have survived some situations in my life that were meant to kill me. I've been Narcaned. I've had guns pointed to my head. I've put myself in really bad situations and I'm still living. There's got to be something to this. I had no idea my life would turn out this way and I'd get to help hundreds of people and family members and friends of people afflicted and coworkers. I had no idea that God would use me to speak to the masses. And now looking back in hindsight, I get it.
And when you talk about God, because so many people go, that's scary, like a moth to a flame. I don't know what God is. How do I identify God? I was raised in this way and it didn't work for me. And why are things happening in the world the way they are? And can there really be a God? So how do you tell someone that is just like, I don't believe, how do you believe? How did it happen for you?
So growing up, I had a neighbor, Millie Staffco. She would always take me to church because my parents, I had a big resentment towards my parents because they didn't like going. My dad was a Catholic, my mom was Baptist, and their parents made them go to church. So growing up, my mom would always say, we're not going to put you in church because we didn't like going to church, you know? So I never really experienced the whole church atmosphere a whole lot, but they always instilled the power, the word of God, of goodness. Like I was always told about, I was always told about the Bible and Jesus and things like that. It didn't make sense to me, but I was always told it was real. So I kind of just believed that. Now, here's my thing though. I understand what you mean, you know, because I will talk to a lot of people and they'll say, I don't believe in God. I'll just tell you that right now. I'm atheist or whatever it is. So my rationale when I speak to people is I say to them, do you believe that there's something greater than yourself that is good, that makes you feel happy, that puts flowers on the earth or gives us good music? Or do you believe there's something bigger than you, Michael or Kim, that is good? Well, yeah, I do. Well, anybody, I think it's up to the individual to kind of find out what their higher power is. But I think that for me, what works for me and what I believe in might not work for everyone else. It drives me crazy sometimes when I hear people say, I don't believe in, you know, there's nothing or there's no God or whatever, because I know there is. I've seen tangible evidence in my life that is a direct result. Was it an odd thing that just happened, or was it a God thing? Absolutely a God thing. So I want people to understand that there is something greater than themselves. There is something powerful. There is something good that can restore you to sanity. You don't have to believe in Jesus. You don't have to believe in Buddha. You don't have to believe in whatever, but just believe that there's something better and good. There's something gooder. There's something greater than yourself that will, if you speak to it, whatever, just believe that something that you're speaking to that is better than you is hearing you and wants good for you. Whatever that looks like for you, just believe that there is something better.
So now here you are. And how long have you been sober?
Oh, so November will be 5 years.
Awesome.
November will be 5 years, which is huge for me because like I said, from the time I was 14 to 37, oh, there's that girl again picking up a white chip, or, you know, everyone thought there was no hope for me. I remember my mom calling me one time, tracking me down, finding me and saying, what color casket do you want? And do you want to be cremated? You know, because everyone knew that I was on a path to prematurely die. So for me to say I am celebrating 5 years of recovery is like, whoa, man.
That's amazing. That is amazing. So tell me, in the very beginning, so like somebody's out there and they're like, all right, so that first day you were like, I'm beaten, I'm done, I give up, God, I can't do this anymore. What happened? Did you go right to this facility? Who'd you call? Who helped you? Because so
No.
many people are so scared to pick this up. Like, this is the heaviest thing in the whole world. So what did you do?
Yeah. Well, it took me about a week to finally get into treatment this last time because I knew I was ready, but I also wanted to get all my little duckies in a row. I had to get my finances situated and like my, not even finances, like I had many finances, but like I had to get rid of stuff, the place I was living in. I didn't want to just go to treatment that next day. So I planned my mom. I went and had dinner with my mom the night before, which she was the only one left in my life that had a little bit of belief that I could do it. So I went, and it took me about a week to finally get into treatment. But here's the thing, like, I love what you mentioned about, it takes, the phone weighs 1,000 pounds or whatever. Because when Karen was ready to do what Karen wanted to do, there was no me picking up and calling a sponsor or anything. I was impulsive. I went, I did what I wanted to do, and I always got what I always got, the same results. So this time around, I had a lot of mentors early on in my recovery that told me things like, stick with the winners, surround yourself with people you want to be like. Don't worry about what other people say about you, save your face and not your ASS. So all those things that people had told me along the way, now I was more aware of these new people in my life telling me the same things. Like, I'm listening. I was thirsty for recovery. I was thirsty to live a good life. And again, those things didn't change overnight. The behavioral stuff is what was hard to change, because I can remember going into treatment the last time and deviating, like saying, oh, I have a dentist appointment, but really I wanted to go to the bank that I knew I had $200 in, buy the dentist and get money out and go to Chick-fil-A and go smoke cigarettes. Like, those were the little things that I had to change. That's not right. Those are not right. I try to do the next right thing in all my affairs. I'm human. I fail sometimes, but eventually I continued to start doing the next right thing, and the next right thing started feeling good, and it started revealing really good things in my life. And I was like, ooh, I want more than that. I want more of that. So yeah. And something else too, it's very interesting. I remember the week that I graduated my residential treatment, I had phased up to a job level. So I was making, $11 an hour. I had a little job. And I remember it was a Tuesday, and I had $9.36 in my bank account. And I didn't get paid until Friday. I managed to keep my car through that treatment process. So I had a half a tank of gas and a little bit of food. And I can remember saying, oh my God, it's Tuesday. I only have $9. How am I going to survive until Friday? My first thought was, let me thumb through this Facebook and see which one of these guys I can find to give me $100. And then I remember immediately thinking, that's not the direction you're headed. You're not headed that direction. If you do that, you're going to have consequences. So I remember saying, you know what? I've got $9. I've got plenty of gas. I can make it till Friday. Well, that next day I went to IOP, which is intensive outpatient. And it was around Christmas time, and they gave each of us a $100 gift card to Walmart. So I remember thinking, oh my God, look, I just did the next right thing. And look how God just provided for me. I was able to go to Walmart. Here in Tampa, they have a Walmart that has a gas station. I was able to get gas. I was able to get my shampoo. I was able to get all the things that I needed. I just got bumps just now thinking about it. So I remember really early on in my recovery thinking, oh my God, you do the next right thing and everything works out. So I want more of that,
For sure. Oh my gosh. And when people hear that you were away from Owen, and Owen was taken away from you, and I could tell the emotion that when you went to those places, and That is such a huge thing, right? Your baby was taken away from you. And then when you went in treatment and you said, all right, I'm willing to let him go while I go take care of me, which is so hard.
Mm.
And I mean, kudos to you for doing that. And how, and I hate it when people ask this, but I'm going to ask it, but how did that feel? And how was it getting through that time, knowing like, oh my gosh, the days are going by. I haven't seen him. It's been another day. It's another day. When do I get to see him? How much longer is this going to be? Instead of looking at it as something that's so torturous, it was actually a gift. And how did you do that?
Oh, it was very challenging. Very challenging. There were times, because remember, I lost him twice to DCF before he was even 2. So I remember he was about maybe not even 3 months, maybe 2.5 months. I was at a shelter, a domestic violence shelter called Spring here in Tampa. And I was using and had him in my care there. And I remember Child Protection Services came there and removed this little baby that I just made from my arms. And that started the process of him being removed from me. So it was very early on. I can tell you, there was a lot of guilt. There was a lot of shame. There was, people kicking me while I was down. How could you do this? What kind of mother are you? So it was one of the hardest things I ever had to do is know that the choices that I was making was keeping him from me. And then as the consequences got deeper and greater, they were really taking him from me. And I was only able to see him once a week, supervised visits. And I think that in itself kept the cycle going for me. I couldn't let go of that. I was so mad at myself, and I was mad at the system, and I was mad at my parents, and I was mad at my son's father. How could you all be doing this to me when I was doing it to myself? So when I finally decided this last time to take this stuff really seriously, I remember praying, God, let me put him on a shelf and trust and believe that as I continue to do the next right thing, there will come a time that I will have him back in my life. And I did, and I do. I have him back in my life, but that was hard. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you described the shame, right? The shame, the guilt, the remorse, and the judgment from others. And it's like, how do I get past this judgment that others feel for me and not hold on to it and not keep playing it in my head that I'm a loser, I'm a loser, I'm a loser, I'm a loser. If you knew me, this is who I am. And then, but taking that step and just going, I'm just going to keep walking with this. As much as this is going on around me, I'm just going to keep walking.
Yes. Yeah. Because we care about what people think about us. As much as we say, I don't care what that person thinks about me, but there is. So I got to a point where I said, I don't care what people think about me anymore. I know I'm a child of God. I know I'm good. I know I have disease of addiction. I know I make bad choices. It is what it is. Sit in your truth. Your truth will set you free. Accept it for what it is. Fight through it, go through it, cry through it, scream through it. And I did. I sat down and what do they say? Sit on your hands and enjoy or not enjoy the ride, whatever it is. Like I did that. I grinned and bared it and went through it and got through it. And it was the most wonderful thing I could have ever done for myself. Well, my life is good.
It sounds like it's amazing. It's like what they used to say in the beginning, right? Like your life is going to be beyond your wildest dreams. And it seems like it is. Well, thank you so much, Karen, for coming on. It was wonderful meeting you. Good luck with everything. Have fun with the fishing and with Owen and everything. And just keep getting busy, living sober, okay?
I will. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. And everybody, until next time, keep getting busy, living sober. Bye-bye.